Thank you. Okay, welcome everyone to our event at Immigrant Techies Alberta. Thank you for spending your Monday evening with us. And Immigrant Techies Alberta is a meetup group where we support immigrant professionals in tech careers. When people come in, sometimes even if they already have the tech background, they're not sure how to navigate the ecosystem here in Alberta. And even people that are trying to pivot, they feel lost. They feel like, do I even belong in tech? Where do I even start? What questions are too dumb to ask? And so the purpose of this meetup group, this community, is to be that safe space where people can be free to ask all their questions and explore. Like, you don't have to have it together. You don't have to know it all to be here. We are all learning together. And the whole point is to be the bridge between newcomers and anyone that's actually in pivot and the larger Alberta ecosystem. Just plug people in. That's exactly what we do. So without further ado, I will invite our guest, Serene Yew. She's the Technical Executive Director at Pixeltree, and she has lots to share with us tonight. So take it away, Serene.
Awesome, thank you so much. I'm a little tired today since the hackathon was on the weekend, but it's gonna be awesome. All right, so for the people who are new, if you have any specific questions, please put them in the chat. I have it right in front of me, and I will try to address them as we go. There are lots of different ways we can go with this talk, so I want to make sure that I'm addressing all the questions that you guys have from the angles that, you know, like everybody's kind of coming in for different perspectives. So I'll start with a little bit about me. I am an immigrant myself. I'm a first-generation immigrant from Singapore. I'm still a Singapore citizen. I'm actually not a Canadian citizen. I'm a Canadian permanent resident, but I've lived in Canada since I was about 10. My family moved here. We moved to Kelowna because I had some family there, and then I moved to Calgary for university. I really liked Calgary, so I've stayed here since. I'm also a single mom. I have 2 boys. They're 9 and 11 years old, and I have a gecko because I don't have time for a dog, even though I'd love a dog, but I have a gecko, so that's what we get. Being a mom is pretty interesting. I think that's a unique perspective in itself. It brings a lot of interesting challenges to your career for sure. I was chatting with Kylie recently, and she was with Chic Geek, and she was telling me about how a lot of it's not even just getting women into tech, but keeping them in tech. There are a lot of women in mid-career who decide to leave tech for various reasons, and when we were chatting about the challenges there, some of it is having to pause to have kids, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later, about what we can do maybe to help with this challenge. So, oh, I wasn't quite ready there. So yeah, so being a parent is it's actually really critical to me, and it's changed who I am and how I lead and what I decided to do in my life. So I have a computer science degree, so I am an active software developer. I still code all the time, and I am one of the senior developers on my team. I'm not the only one. I also do other more executive things and leadership things, but I still actively code. I still work on lots of different client projects. I've been doing software development for about 16 years now, and I've spent about 10 of those years in the startup world. So that's been an interesting adventure on its own. I have worked in really large corporate enterprise software development teams. I've also worked on projects for clients where it's just been me as like the technical co-founder or just a contractor. And I've worked in everything in between. So I've helped companies scale from nothing to multi-million-dollar companies. And I've also been part of lots of failed startups. I've been through a lot of things. So I can do software development, I can do front-end, back-end, databases, I do server administration. My university degree actually focused on security, so I have some exposure into that as well. So while I don't specialize in that, I can do everything basically from project inception through to delivery. So I own this company called Pixeltree. We're a local software consulting company. We joined Platform Calgary as a pillar company last year, I want to say, although it could be 2 years ago now, because what is time? I can't really remember. I also am the lead organizer for the YYC Dev and the YYC JS meetups. That's the JavaScript meetup. So I quit my last job to start this company because I wanted to do a couple of main things. So our company has two mandates. The first one is supporting entrepreneurs in software. So what that means is that we educate entrepreneurs on how to build software, more importantly, how not to build software. We try to advise them based on where they are in that startup journey, how they should build their software, how they would hire, whether they should build it themselves, should it be no code, code. There are lots of different options there. And so we want to help to educate entrepreneurs, because I just found that people, like a lot of startup founders, end up wasting a lot of money in their software development. And I don't want people to have to do that anymore. The second big thing that we do is tech talent education. So when I was a junior software developer, I had really, really awesome mentors. And they've definitely made a huge impact on who I am today. And I want to make sure that everybody in the city has access to such mentorship. So I want, not even just from a technical perspective, but from a career growth and personal growth perspective, I want people to have access to those mentors. So for example, we ran the hackathon on the weekend. The whole goal of the hackathon was to make sure that people new to software development know that there is a seat for them at the table, that it's a safe space for them to go, it's welcoming, it's okay to fail, it's normal to be imperfect, and we as a community are going to help you. We're going to figure out a way through together. And I think we succeeded, because we started with 14 teams and we ended up with 14 teams, so nobody quit. And I want this momentum to carry on in our tech community, make sure that everybody feels safe here and everybody feels welcome to the tech industry. So I'm just super passionate about building a sustainable, meaningful, and inclusive talent pipeline to support our growing tech industry, because I think that this is our strength, is Calgary. It's our diversity is our strength. People coming in from different countries, speak different languages with different experiences and different backgrounds. They all bring very unique perspectives. And that means that we're going to be able to solve problems more creatively. So everybody's going to bring in their individual input. So I want to bring everybody to the table and generate those kinds of conversations and solve more complicated problems. So. All right, so we'll get into the meat of it. What is software development? I think software development means a lot of things to everybody. The first thing that people think of when they think of software development is coding, but software development actually encompasses a lot more than just coding and programmers sitting in the basement in a dark room, typing away furiously. Coding is only one part of software development. In order to build a successful product, we need to have people from who play various roles. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a bit. We're going to start with, we'll just say software development is some kind of building of a technical product that provides some value to business, which is really important, because what we're saying here is that software means nothing on its own unless it's providing some kind of business value. So I frequently join companies, and the CEOs or the board of directors, they always ask me, how am I supposed to know what kind of value the software is bringing? I need a dollar value. And it's tough for me to explain it to them, because they said, well, if your software is bringing you value, then your company's going to make more money. Can you directly attribute it to software? Maybe or maybe not, but ultimately that's what it's trying to bring is some kind of value, at least in a for-profit company. So that's what software development is. I am going to talk a little bit about web development. So my focus is on web development. In my next point, I'll touch on the other types, but briefly, front-end versus back-end development. So when we talk about front-end development, we're talking about what you see when you open a website. So all the pictures, the text, all the interactions, that's front-end development. Back-end development is the stuff behind the scenes. So it's things that access the database, that do all the calculations. That's at a very high level, the back-end development. So back-end development lives on a server somewhere out in the cloud, probably. Front-end development is the code that lives in your browser. So when you go to a website and it downloads your website, the code that lives in your browser is the front-end code. And then that front-end code is going to make some calls to the backend that's in the server in the cloud somewhere to get the information that it needs. But not everything lives in your browser, just the front-end code. What's a full stack developer? So full stack developer is a bit of a buzzwordy term that gets floated around a lot. In boot camps, you're going to see that a lot where companies and programs are advertising training for you to become a full stack developer, which implies you can do everything from the front end to the back end to server deployments and design and everything in between. As a new person to the industry, I don't think that's a realistic goal. I think it is really important to understand the full cycle, but it's going to be really challenging for you to be good at all of those pieces and tying them all together. So if you don't feel comfortable calling yourself that, I wouldn't blame you. So I try to just say that because I think there's a lot of pressure put on people to be full stack developers, and they feel like they're failures if they're not. You are not a failure. It's a really difficult thing to be. In the real world, there are very few true full stack developers out there. So to expect a junior to do that is just silly. What other types of development are there? Or rather, what other places or what other kinds of technical roles are there in software development? So mobile development, like mobile games, mobile apps, is actually quite different than web development. There are some technologies now that are kind of calling themselves cross-platform, and they are getting better, so I shouldn't be so mean about it. There are some frameworks like React Native and Ionic that allow you to build stuff for the web, and then also allows you to transfer that to mobile development. Otherwise, without those technologies, mobile development like Android and Apple, like Objective-C, are from a technical perspective quite different. So learning one language for the web doesn't necessarily mean that you'd be able to build something for mobile. Usually, mobile devs are it's its own unique skill set. So I would hire for mobile development very specifically. I'm not asking my web developers to build for Android or Android. Even Android and Apple are also very different languages. Data science is another technical position that you could get. Data science is pretty broad term. Machine learning and AI is all kind of under the data science hat, but there's no you can't just take a course on data science and then be good at everything. It's a pretty broad industry. It's very specific to what it is you're working on. I'm not going to talk about it too much because that's not my area of expertise. I usually will hire for that specifically or contract those roles out. But those are things that are available to you that are not necessarily jobs that you could get that you're going to visibly see. And then tech adjacent roles. I saw some people in the chat kind of asking about this, so I wanted to hold off. So I wanted to circle back to how I was talking about software development requiring multiple roles. So people talk about project managers and product managers like they're the same thing. They are actually not the same thing. When I talk about roles, a person can play multiple roles, but the roles are still unique in and of itself. So project manager would be somebody who is making sure that the entire project's on track. And that means time and budget. So for a project manager role, I would be looking for somebody with prior management experience, some people management, but what I really am looking for is somebody who's really organized. They can keep on top of the client to make sure that the client's being communicated with, that we're actually hearing what they're saying, that we know exactly what the budget needs to be. We need to make sure that the budget's on track. We need to know what the timelines are going to be. And the project manager is also in close contact with the other people on the team, because it's their job to make sure that when stuff is not on track, that issues get escalated, whether it's informing the client or somebody else on the team has to make a different decision. So that's a project manager. The product manager is in charge of making sure the product that we're building is delivering value for our clients. So they would be looking to understand why we're building what we're building and making sure that what we're building. So communication is really hard, and clients will tell you they want something, but it's the product manager's job to understand why it is that they want this, understand what value this feature is supposed to bring, to make sure that we're actually delivering something that is of value, because they almost never want what they say that they want. And so there's a whole industry around just being product manager. Like Product YYC has its own group, because it's mostly an art. It's a little bit of a science, but it's mostly an art. It's learning to listen, it's learning to ask questions, and it's learning to communicate. And even after you understand what it is the client's trying to look for, the product manager needs to also be able to break that down in a way that the software developers can actually build it. So they break it down in a way that the programmers can build it, deliver it, test it, and then iterate on that. So the product manager, I would argue, has a really challenging job, because they need to learn how to communicate with both parties, and be able to communicate information back to both parties. So they're a bit of a translator. The QA tester is a quality assurance tester, and there are two types of QA testers. When people talk about testing, they're thinking about a few different things, but we'll talk about the two main ones. One is acceptance testing. Acceptance testing is, does this feature do what we said it was going to do? And then there is exploratory testing. So exploratory testing is where the tester would go in and say, what happens if I enter some garbage into this text box? What happens? What happens if I enter nothing? What happens if I enter a really, really long string or a paragraph? What happens if I hit enter here or just click randomly? And then they would go back and say, hey, I tried this weird combination and this unexpected thing happened. So I want to distinguish those two things, because not all QA testers do both. So the best QA testers would do both. There's also stuff like load testing, which sometimes falls on the QA tester's lap. So load testing is making sure that the product that you're building will sustain larger loads, which means that what happens if 1,000 people hit this website at once, 10,000, 100,000, 1,000,000 people hit this website once? What happens then? And if you are building a website with a large anticipated load, then you're going to want to do load testing. There's also security testing, which usually does not fall on the QA tester's lap, but sometimes like penetration testing, those would be testers that are very specialized in security. Server administrator. So unless your team's big enough, most people are not hiring separately for a server administrator, but the larger teams would have people whose jobs are to make sure that the product's deployed to the cloud properly. If something goes wrong, that it can roll back, that databases are being backed up, that firewalls are running as expected, some security rules, they ensure that the software developers have testing environments, that there's a staging environment. This role is sometimes also called DevOps, which stands for development operations, but nobody ever calls it that. We just say DevOps because we're nerds and we like our abbreviations. So okay, I'm going to pause for a sec and check in on the questions. So I'll start at the top. Would love to learn about the level of technical or software proficiency required for some of the more popular tech roles like product manager, project program manager. So it really depends on the company. And here I'm talking about the roles because I think like roles are really just names that we put on things so that when we're communicating, people understand what it is we're talking about. But very often, companies are hiring for the roles that they think fit what they need, and they don't actually fit what they need. So some companies will advertise a project manager role, but what they really want was a product manager, or vice versa. Sometimes people are looking for a programmer, but they expect that programmer to also manage the entire project. So in terms of level of technical proficiency, for our company, I don't expect our project managers or product managers to have any level of technical proficiency other than the basics of understanding the software development cycle, the differences between agile and waterfall software development, for example. I don't expect them to have any, but some companies would. Those are really awesome questions to ask in your interview to understand what it is that this company means when they say product manager and when they say project manager, whether they're expecting the product manager to have an idea of budget. Are they expecting you to play two roles? Because maybe they are. Maybe they don't even know the differences between the roles. So transitioning to IT from a non-IT background. So we hire a lot of people who are transitioning into tech. I feel like I keep saying it depends, but it really does depend. It depends on the team. It depends on their size. It depends on how well they even understand software development, which is why I think communication and asking them a lot of questions is really, really key. So we hire lots of people out of boot camps, and then we assess where they are at on a technical level. And then we try to hire people whose background experiences align with some of our clients, because I want people to be able to come into especially people who've worked in other industries before for many years. It's really, really challenging to pivot into tech and feel like you're starting completely over. So we try to find them a client or a role where they can use that experience. So for example, we have a guy who used to be a geologist who's pivoted into tech, and we've put him on a project where he can use his geology experience to build software. And so while he still has some training to do on the technical side, he's still able to provide a lot of domain knowledge. So for example, he'll work with our product manager to help explain some of those industry nuances that you can only get by working as a geologist. And so he's able to contribute that way. So if you're pivoting to tech from a non-tech industry, I would recommend looking for a job in kind of as a software developer or in a tech role that's still building products for the industry that you had experience in. Not even just domain knowledge. We also hire people like, so for example, one of our newest project managers used to be a glass blower. He owned his own glass blowing company for over 10 years. He designed giant inflatables with beaker head, and he's worked in the arts industry. And he wanted to pivot into tech because he had a baby and he wanted to stay home with her. And being a glassblower, there's no remote opportunities for that. And so he said, all right, well, I have some graphic design skills. I'm going to see if I can be a UX designer. And so he went through a UX boot camp and he applied to us to be a UX designer. But while we were interviewing him, we looked at his experience owning his own business. And we said, hey, we think you have your UX stuff is pretty good, but you don't have any real world experience. But we think that we want you to do a UX design, but also project management. He'd never been a project manager before in the tech industry, and he knew nothing about the tech industry. But what did he have? He knew how to run a business, which means that he knew how to keep to budgets. He knows how to talk to clients. He knows how to manage timelines. He knows how to work in a team. He knows how to work with difficult clients. And so we made him an offer. And we're like, what if we created a role for you where you could be a project manager, utilizing all your business experience? You can do some UX stuff, and you can also do graphic design. And I think creating these custom roles for people is really a unique thing that we do, because people don't always fit into one bucket.
If I could ask Serene,
yeah,
do you see that happening with other employers? Are people that open to like looking at this highly talented pool we have in Alberta and making the best of it? Because it appears they use this broad brush to paint all new developers or bootcamp graduates as not yet experienced. So where are we with that on a provincial or city level in terms of maximizing the people that are really interested in pivoting?
I don't think that's something that most companies are doing yet, which is why I'm trying to talk about it a lot and talk about our success with it. I think there's a lot of fear there, because it's way easier for people to try to put you in a bucket, because then they can it's a lot safer. But the more we talk about it, and I would suggest as people applying for jobs, make that suggestion to your recruiters or the hiring managers and say, hey, here's what I see. I've had people come in and apply for jobs and say, hey, what if I do this and this and this? Here are the different things that I bring. What if we make this position for me based on the different roles that you have? And try to bring your own job description, if you will. At the very least, it'll bring more awareness to that as an option. So I'm trying to talk about it more so that we can maybe make that a little bit more acceptable. Let's see. I see some questions about freelance developers. What top skills are we looking for? So there's a question about the tech stack for a beginner. It looks like I'm skipping over it, but I'm not. I'm just gonna kind of group those when I'm talking about tech stacks and stuff to learn. But right now we're talking about like pivoting into tech a little bit. So for top skills I'm looking for in an experienced project manager coming from the energy industry. I would be looking for somebody with experience managing timelines, budgets, clients. When I say clients, I mean difficult clients. Easy clients are easy. So I would be looking for people to tell me a story about their experience and how they dealt with those situations if you're over budget. Tell me about the difficult people you've worked with. Tell me about how you brought people together. Tell me about your communication skills and why you think they're awesome. Those are the things that you want to emphasize, and be very, very open about your intention to learn about the tech industry. If you want that job and you say, I will come in at this salary for 3 months probation, and then I want this salary, just come in and say, I want you to take a chance on me. I'm going to take this salary for 3 months, and here are my goals for 3 months. And if I make those goals, this is the salary that I want. bring that to your employer and give them, like, show them that you are really, really eager to learn about the tech industry. Show them, these are the things that I'm doing to learn about the tech industry. These are the talks I'm going to. These are the things I'm meeting, or these are the people I'm meeting. These are the questions I'm asking. Am I even asking the right questions? Get them, like, show people, show employers that you are willing to learn and willing to grow, and that you recognize that there are some places that you don't even know about that you don't know. But it's that eagerness and that commitment to learning and growing and a commitment to quality. Those are the things that you can't train for, that I'm always looking for. I can teach people to program. I can teach people technical skills. I can't teach them personality. I can't teach culture. I can't make somebody fit into my team so they fit in or they don't. I can teach you to program. I can teach you about servers. So those non-teachable skills. Okay. So what is a good stack for a beginner? HTML, CSS, JavaScript is always a super good base. Everything that you learn is going to be based off of that. There are tons of free coding camps. I'll let you Google it. I think there's Udemy, there's like Free Code Academy, something like that. They're all pretty good, honestly. Do like pick something. The YYC Dev Slack group is pretty good. You could go there. The skills are less important than the networking. Do some networking, learn some skills. The boot camps are pretty good. None of them are going to get you there. None of the employers are happy with any of the boot camp grads as they are. They know that because I tell them that all the time. Bow Valley has a pretty good program that's starting in the fall that we co-sponsored with them, that is government funded. It's going to be part school it's going to be full-time school for 6 months, and then I think half school and half work integrated learning for the year and a half after that. Awesome program. I helped them to develop the curriculum. We get absolutely nothing from it, but I'll help any school develop a curriculum if they want help to develop the curriculum. So they have a good program. I think Edge Up is also free. I'm not actually sure. There's a manpower program with Retrain Canada. They're really awesome people. I would recommend reaching out to all of them. No matter what bootcamp you pick, know that you're not going to come out 100% employable. It is only a base. It's a starting. It's a place to start, but it's unlikely that you're going to be ready for any job. I think the hackathon that we ran, we're going to run another one in 6 months. People learn a ton there in 2 days about the entire software development cycle. Even if you find one that's like online, participate in it, go to the meetups, talk to people, do all the platform stuff, talk to people, just keep talking to people, keep asking them questions, heed their advice, but networking is really, really key in Calgary.
I mean, you touch on something that's quite important and also scary, that when you're done with the boot camp, you're not necessarily employable right away. So what else can people do? Like, how do you build your own portfolio, say, just to keep learning? What can you do to build your portfolio outside the boot camp you went through?
So what I like to tell people is build a portfolio website. So not just sending somebody, a link to your GitHub with all your projects on it. Build a website that has all your different portfolio items on it and has you're basically marketing yourself. So if you put yourself in the shoes of an employer and hiring manager, I get tons of resumes all the time. Instead of a resume, if you give me a link to your website that has your portfolio on it, that has just like all the different things that you've built, and I can super easily click on it. 2 sentences on top on why I should even keep going. World of difference. And write a cover letter. Always write a cover letter. People who don't write cover letters, I don't even look at them because I feel like they're just blasting their resume out and didn't give any thought to what makes them a good fit for the company. I get that it's not that sustainable to apply to every single job and write a custom cover letter for it. But then also, did you really think you were a good fit for every single one of these jobs? Rather than applying to all 100 jobs, figure out which ones you actually really want and why you'd be a good fit for that company, why you'd be a good fit for that team, and just send out 5. Because you can blast out 100 resumes. No one's going to look at 100 resumes. Like 100 companies are not going to look at your resume. I'm looking for somebody who's going to be a really awesome fit for my team. So learn about the company's culture, learn about what they're looking for, talk about your eagerness to learn and grow on their team. Or at least that's what's important to me. I guess not every company is going to be that important. Like, I guess not every company is going to care about culture that much. But for me, I want to hear about why people are going to fit in with my team, because maintaining a strong culture in my company is really important to me. So that's what I'm looking for. And then I look at their portfolio to see how much effort they've put into learning. Because as a small company, I don't have resources to train people for months and months and months without seeing anything back. So I'm looking for people who have a good base, are eager to learn, such that when I do provide them the resources, that they're going to make the best of it. So I saw a question about how to find a freelance developer as a startup founder. I do an entire 3-hour workshop about that one, so I don't think I can cover it in 30 seconds. That is something that if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking for people to build your product, you should definitely go into the Platform Innovation Center and talk to them. They're going to have more resources for you on that, and then keep an eye on that. If you follow us, like my company, like Pixeltree on LinkedIn, we'll probably host the workshop again. It's almost always free. We just host it once in a while to try to educate people. So yeah, not really a 30-second question. How do I screen freelance developers during interviews for their proficiencies in a specific stack when you have a non-technical background? If you are hiring a freelance developer, I would look for, it's like if you are hiring somebody to build your deck, are you going to ask them what brand of saws they use? No, you're going to look for a portfolio and see what other work they've done before, look at their quality of work. You're also looking for how well you communicate with this person. How well do they communicate with you? Do they understand what it is that you're trying to do? When you tell them about what you're trying to build, are they able to communicate that back to you? Do they understand why you're building what you're building? Do they understand your why? Do you understand their why? Do they know why it is they're in software development? Ensuring the project and code base are up to a good standard. If you have a freelance developer and you are asking this question, it means that there's something wrong with their code quality. Because as I said before, software provides value. So if you as the business owner is not seeing value or at a rate that you think is reasonable, that means that the software is not providing the value that you're looking for. And so something is wrong. Something's wrong in there. And there's probably a communication breakdown, and there's probably a coding problem. We do a lot of project rescue and project audits because of that reason. You need to find a freelancer or a software consultancy that you can trust, basically, to be honest with you. There aren't any easy ways for you as a founder to be able to tell without really understanding the code. But I always tell my clients, trust your gut. If you feel like something's wrong and you can't get a straight answer or you don't get a satisfactory answer, something's wrong. And then you need to get a third party.
Yeah, something you touched on a little that I would like to expand on. So for roles, I mean, you said when you hire product or project managers, you don't necessarily require that they have such a background, because we know some companies do. So what will be the safe level of tech stack that a non-technical person should at least be familiar with? What would you say is the base level?
I don't expect my project manager to know anything about the technical stuff in software development. I think just the terminology is great, which you can pick up just by interacting with your team. I don't see that as something that you can really train for other than just being exposed to it. Project managers need to have really strong communication skills, so they need to be ready to ask what those terms mean. Yeah, I've never asked my project managers to have any technical experience. So if there is a company that does require it, I think might be good to just have that conversation with them.
Experience with specific tools like Jira, Confluence, things like that.
I've never required any of that on my team, but we might be a unique team that way. I don't like, yeah, I mean, I guess it's good. They learn Jira and Trello and understand how they work, but those are just tools. They help you to get the job done, but they're never going to replace strong communication skills. So we pick up new tools all the time. We change tools all the time. Be comfortable with change. Ask lots of questions. talk to your clients. Talk to your devs. Okay, let's see. We're only at 15 minutes left. For a QA to I don't know how to build a portfolio as a QA. I've never asked my QAs for a portfolio. For QAs, when I interview them, I usually just ask, like, you know, here's our product. What would you do to break it? That's kind of what I ask my QAs. And then I watch the different things that they try, and I listen to the questions that they ask. So
yeah, sure. You can unmute yourself.
Hi everyone. My name is Shruti. So I have worked as a QA engineer from India. That was back in 2014 to 2016. Because of a genuine reason, after that, I have a career gap of almost 5.5 years because I moved to US where I didn't have a work permit to work. Then we moved to Canada on a PR, and now I'm in Calgary. I'm looking for a job. Since I have work experience in QA, I'm specifically looking to get into QA. And I have been upgrading my skills in since last 3-4 months, parallelly applying jobs which suits my experience. So I believe the challenge I'm facing here is because of the career gap, and this would be my first Canadian job here. So I thought of building a portfolio, since I have been working like for insurance or for e-commerce. Like, I have worked on this. I have been testing. I know how to write test cases. I know this software testing job in this particular field. I am actually finding it very difficult to get a single interview call. So when it comes to portfolio for a QA profession, I have researched about this because this is not something we build. We as a QA, I will be testing what the developers have been built. So if anybody has any experience in creating a portfolio or can guide me to somebody who have, you know, some organizations like the government-led organization. I've been contacting.
Yeah, I believe that's exactly what Serene was just addressing, that question on how to evaluate QA testers. So,
Have you spoken to any recruiters?
Like, as I said, I have not got a single interview call. I have
So
done. Sorry,
so
go
there
ahead.
are a couple of recruiters that I've personally worked with that are really, really good and work with candidates individually to help them. Because I don't think in this case it's a portfolio thing. This is it's a connections thing. So what you really need is to find a company with a team that's going to give you a chance.
Yes.
And I think what you need is a really solid recruiting company to help you out. So I'm going to post an email address in the chat.
Sure.
This is Jason. You can tell him I sent you. And this is open for anybody. So he works at ITIQ. I've worked with him for a few years. I don't make any money from this, but he and his team are really, really awesome at helping individual people to find jobs. And they will work with you to understand what you're about and then sell you to the employers. So I've worked with him on both sides where I was looking for a job, and then I've also been an employer with their organization. I don't work with them anymore, but I still keep in touch with them. I highly recommend anybody who is looking for a position and struggling to go, email him. He'll refer you to one of the recruiters, and if you tell him that I sent you, he will personally make sure that you're getting an appropriate amount of attention.
wow, thank you so much for that, Serene.
Sure. Thank you so much.
And there's also Manpower.
I have one more question, if you don't mind.
Oh, I'm just gonna pass on one more recruiting company.
I think we should,
before
let's go on. If you can, maybe stay back afterwards and see if anyone is in the room. Anyone in the room can help with more questions. So.
Yeah. So Manpower was one of the sponsors of the hackathon on the weekend, and they work with a lot of immigrants, and they also work with Retrain Canada on upskilling and micro-credentialing. They are a really, really good organization. Their people really care about upskilling. So that's Manpower. Really awesome people. Reach out to them. You can say you can drop my name if you want. They sponsored this hackathon because they're really invested in growing the tech talent in the city. So another great resource. Retrain Canada has a bunch of micro-credentialing. They might be able to help you with maybe just taking a course that shows that you do know how to do QA. That might help. It's the whole stupid Canada experience thing. I don't understand, but they're really good with that. So okay. Any other questions I missed? We don't have a ton of time, so I'm going to address that last question about the junior developer role at the company, because I get this question a lot. So our job listings on our website are just a place to start. Like I said, we hire a lot of people and create custom roles for them based on their experience. So we've had software developers come in or apply for a junior developer position, and I've noticed strong project management skills, and I will make them an offer to be like, okay, your technical skills are not quite there. What if you do some project management while you are growing your technical side? Or what if you do some product management? Or what if you do some community management while you are growing your tech side? So if you want to apply for a job that you don't necessarily qualify for, apply for it anyway, and talk about what you are willing to learn and how you're willing to grow, what skills you're bringing. So internship, volunteering positions, not right now. We already have, we don't do unpaid internships. I make sure that everybody in my company is compensated for their time, regardless of their amount of experience, because that's important to us. So we don't have unpaid internships, and we are full for interns for the summer. We have 4 high school students with us. So we're doing high school students this year. We might do something differently after that. I am looking to build out a, not necessarily related to Pixeltree, but I want to build a team that's just for portfolio building. So we would take on projects that are community based, that can help the community. So that would be unpaid, and we would be looking to bring in volunteers who want to build their portfolio and learn how to work on a team. So we'd be looking for somebody to be a project manager, somebody to be a product manager, and a bunch of software developers, so that they can build their portfolio and also build a real product for the community, for a nonprofit.
That's awesome.
Yes, I haven't had any time. So if people are interested, if there is somebody with project management experience who is interested in, getting this project off the ground, please reach out to me. I can give you a starter and help you get the community together. I think having a group that's working together on a real product to build their portfolio and showcasing their individual skills and experiences will be really beneficial to juniors, people pivoting in, immigrants and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Can you
talk too much?
Do you have time to touch on the other thing, Serene? Or
which one was that?
Like the other topic you wanted to share.
Oh yeah. That's all right. I think I kind of talked about it a little bit. So what she's talking about is I met with the mayor and the US ambassador to Canada today. We were just talking a lot about how to make the tech industry more inclusive, more diverse, and more accessible to women and minorities and newcomers to Canada. I will talk about this all the time anyway, so I'm sure I'll discuss it somewhere else. I'll take one last question. Whoever has their hand up.
Okay, hi everyone, good evening. So I wanted to ask this question. So basically, I left Nigeria about a month ago, and project management wasn't my career back in Nigeria, but it was something I wanted to transition to here in Canada. So what I did a lot of research, took the project management certification course, and then I passed and all that. What advice would you give me? How do you think I could transition into that role here in Canada without any project management experience?
That's really tough. I think you need to just pick a job in a company that you're interested in working with, finding a place for yourself, and then growing into it. Networking in Calgary is it's such a big deal. I can't emphasize it enough. It's so much about talking to people and telling your story, and just finding people whose values align with yours. I'm gonna share the YYC Dev Slack group with everybody here. This is like it's just a big Slack group where a bunch of people chat, people will post events, talk about stuff. There are lots of different channels in there that you can look for. I would follow Platform Calgary, see what events they're hosting, attend them all, keep telling your story. If you are on Discord, join the Platform Calgary Discord server, join the Pixels and Pints Discord server, talk to people, get out, meet, network, chat. Lots of entrepreneur groups. There's like Startup TNT. That's another great place to network. There's Founders Breakfast. So Founders Breakfast or Founders Coffee is really great because there are lots of founders there that are looking for software developers and looking for like co-founders and things like that. So if you're a technical person and you go there, you'll meet lots of interesting people. It's not going to pan out every week, but somebody will lead you to somebody else, who leads you to somebody else. You do another event where you might meet somebody. And that's kind of how Calgary works.
For sure. And the good thing with Calgary, there are so many opportunities to network and so many people that are open with their time and their expertise to share. So do take advantage of that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna share a couple more Discord invite links here, so that everybody has that access. And then, yeah, I go to a lot of these events, mostly just to hang out. Lots of really interesting people that are keen to help connect. So the YYC Design and Development Slack group has a lot of channels. So check out the entire channels list and figure out which channels you want to join. There's a job opportunities channel where people post a lot of job postings, events, JavaScript if you're interested in that. There's also the Product Calgary Slack group, which I don't have an invite for here, but if you go look for that one, that's Jen Lucier. So if you're looking for project management or product management, Product Calgary is the place that you want to be. Yeah. Okay.
Wow. I think
that
we
helps.
got all questions covered. Thank you so very much, Serene. I know it has been a very busy weekend for you and you should have been resting today, but here you are. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
That's all right. I was trying to talk as fast as possible so that I could get all my information out in an hour. I am at lots of these events. You can come chat with me if you can try to find your way to me. Yeah, I try to post stuff that I'm learning on LinkedIn, so you can follow me there if you want.
Yeah, we're gonna leave the room open for another 5 minutes or so. Anyone that wants to stay back and hang out, feel free. And we did post a membership link in the chat. James posted that. So if you could just fill that, if you're interested in staying up to date with events and other things we're up to at Immigrant Techies Alberta, please fill that form. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm sure I will see you around at the next event.
For sure.
Thank you,
Good night,
Sarah.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.